Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I like that. Yes, sir. Mike, guess what year this terrible tile's from? February 1st,
2006.
2009.
Oh.
2009.
I thought that was the Detroit one. No, that's the Tampa one.
That's Tampa, and
Did they win that one? They won that one.
He got hit by Julius Peppers once so hard he thought we were in Cincinnati.
Wait, that wasn't the one to the Packers? That was the Arizona one.
Pat, we don't even talk about one. We don't mention him, who never gets mentioned, who played quarterback for the Steelers. You should have been in that Super Bowl in Arizona instead. I came off the top row. I was drinking tequila. Anyway, we don't mention his name ever, played quarterback. I'm Tantlinger. He is the NFL quarterback, Mike McMahon, and that is the beautiful city of Pittsburgh, PA. Mike, I am so fired up. First of all, you know who's fired up? They haven't been to the playoffs in 18 years, and the last time they were in the playoffs was over at that Ketchup Stadium over there, and we kicked Tommy Maddox. Thank you very much. They're like thrilled with themselves in Cleveland.
Yeah, it's a big feat for them, and I'm sure they're going to try and come in and make a statement. And Pittsburgh needs to be ready because this is a different Cleveland Browns team.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Look, any given Sunday is the old phrase. Anybody can beat anybody. And don't forget, you younger kids and some of you out-of-sounds folks don't know the ferocity of the old Steelers-Browns rivalry. I mean, the Turnpike rivalry, Mike, it was crazy. They'd cut your tires, set things on fire, grandmothers. I got locked in a porta-john once.
You can't do it nowadays with the camera phones.
No, right.
Get caught.
Yeah, right. So, but that rivalry is rekindled this weekend as the Cleveland Clowns came here. Mike, we got to win 4 games to go back to Tampa at the Super Bowl. 4 games. Focus. Let's start with the first one against the Cleveland Clowns. What do the Steelers got to do to win this game this Sunday?
They need to run the ball more. They ran it only 11 times against the Colts, and they were able to get away with the win, and basically because the Colts gave up on the run in the second half, and Rivers had 2 turnovers. You need to be able to, the Colts were running the football against Pittsburgh early in the game, and they quit running with Jonathan Taylor, and actually brought Pittsburgh back into the game, and Philip Rivers made some bad decisions, forcing the ball late down the field. But, you look back to this past week, James Conner, only 5 attempts.
Mike, I don't like them running James Conner. He's so prone to injury. You know this. A running back only has so many carries a season,
and he
right?
runs so hard, and I was surprised they actually played him this past week the way they gave some other guys some rest. Now, if you were going to go out and try and beat the Browns and knock them out of the playoffs, that's one thing. But if you kind of were going to, half it here and there, now you got to face them again, and now he could be a little dinged up. He had 5 runs against the Colts, 9 runs against the Browns. He still runs hard. Benny Snell had 6 against the Colts, only 3 against the Browns, and McFarland got a couple carries. I would like to see the Steelers run the ball more. Mason Rudolph had 41 pass attempts, and Josh Dobbs had 5 pass attempts. At 45 pass attempts in a game is not going to cut it. You have to be able to learn to run the football and protect the ball as well. Make sure you don't have any turnovers this game.
All right, when you were at the Eagles, you had Westbrook, you had Terrell Owens. Who did you have at running back for the Eagles?
We had Westbrook, and then, he got banged up, and we had a rookie, Ryan Moats. And we just, that year in Philly, they just came off their Super Bowl. Todd Pinkston ended up blowing out his Achilles in summer camp, and they were just banged up the whole season. We had a lot of rookies, and we had a lot of backup linemen playing for the rest of the season.
Well, that begs its question. Westbrook was a great running back. What was your balance? And this is where I want to get to. When you want to make a Super Bowl run, you have to have balance.
Well,
40, 60, 50, 50 with the run game, with the pass game. What was it?
And that's the thing. The Eagles just came off that Super Bowl, and then they had the T.O. Donovan drama. But in that season, we started off, running the ball fairly well with Westbrook, and a couple other guys splashed in. But as injuries started to happen, we started to throw the ball a little bit more. And the talk, I remember that season was, the Eagles are becoming one-dimensional, and you're able to stop that. Donovan had the sports hernia, and we did, and teams started to catch on to us, and then it kind of raised the drama again a little bit in the locker room because, they weren't winning. And, when we were winning early in the season, the drama kind of subsided a little bit with Donovan and T.O., but once we started losing, the fingers started pointing, and a lot of it was because we were throwing the ball a little too much. We just became too one-dimensional.
Well, Mike, that's why I asked you the question. You said one-dimensional. This team, the Steelers, have done a great job through this COVID season, through injuries. Could you imagine if Bush and Bud were still here going in this playoff win? Because defense wins championships, but I'll get to defense later.
Well, and that's what you're talking about. We don't have those, or the Steelers do not have those defensive players. They have a few banged up guys. So now the way to protect them is by running the football, shortening the game, letting that clock keep on running. I loved how they came out against Cleveland last week and they ran the ball early on, back to back to back. Now, granted, it's because they had their backup quarterback in. They're trying to protect him a little bit, get him some easy throws in the game. But with Ben, he's going to come out and he's going to be slinging that rock around.
Yeah, but it goes back to the balance aspect. There's no doubt this running game's been lacking. Look, I don't think Benny Snell has it. I'm going to say it, Mike, the cut move. You come up to the hole's jammed, the hole's blocked, the cut move. You make a move, you go boom, 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 you get that extra. That was a great, for 260 pounds, not a bad cut move.
The whole platform just shook.
Yeah, right. We're at the Mr. Rogers statue down here in Pittsburgh today. Look, Benny Snell does not have a cut move. Go back, look at the tape. I love what McFarland does. I love what James Thunder Connor does for you. He gives that big body to wear down the linebackers, but they've got to get the balance, get the running game going. Let's get into the passing game.
Well, again, go back to that balance. You can use Benny Snell. Hey, tell him one cut and go into the hole. Just hit it hard. Use him in short yards.
He's a bowling ball.
Yeah. Then you have McFarland, you have Connors. But keeping that running back, whether it's underneath center or in the sidecar with Connors and McFarland, being able to run the ball even out of the shotgun, it takes the pressure off of the pass rush of Myles Garrett. If you let him put his hand in the dirt and you're going to go empty, he's going to get the bend a couple times. He's going to do it. He's that good. He's one of the best defensive players in the league. And how do teams slow down TJ Watt right now? They double team him, they chip him, and they run the football right at him. You got to run the football right at Myles Garrett and slow him down a little bit.
Yeah, Villanueva, and of course, and I'm adamant about this, Kevin the Bulldozer Dotson. Kevin the Bulldozer Dotson out of Louisiana. If this kid is not in this, hurt, decimated offensive line this year, your Steelers don't pull a couple victories off. This kid, for a rookie, the Bulldozer, comes around and he gives you exactly that, Mike. That ability to attack Myles Garrett, do a loop around out into the flats, get James Conner going at Myles Garrett. If we can get that going, if we can get McFarland going.
And stick with it.
Just stick with it.
Get those reps going. Get those attempts up early in the game, wear down that pass rush. You saw what Tennessee did this past weekend, a little bit of a close one between the Texans, and did they get away from Derrick Henry? No, they stuck with him.
Henry the horse, 2,000 yards this year! 2,000 yards!
And even when they were down late in the game, did they throw it No, they stuck to their thing. And you saw that Tennessee offensive line blowing the Texans off the ball. Now, granted, the Texans don't have the best run defense, but they stuck with the run. I think the Colts are another team. If they stick with the run, they were pounding. Now, again, it was Jacksonville, but they were pounding them. And then they got away from it. Jacksonville kind of came back into the game, and what did they do? They gave Jonathan Taylor the football again, and he started pounding it, 266 yards rushing. Stick with the run. Don't give up on it. Pittsburgh just needs to stick with it, fight through some of that, get the O-lineman firing off the blocks and firing down the field and having going downhill. I think Pittsburgh would fare much better as opposed to just turning it into the recess or flag football type game where they go empty 5 wide.
Two things the running game does. One, it gets you yards, obviously. But secondly, it wears down the defense and it keeps them honest, Mike.
Slows down the rush, keeps them honest, and it also gives your defense a break. Trying to have the time of possession a little longer. Don't go 3 and out. They went 3 and out too many times against the Colts. And if you do that against Cleveland and you get Nick Chubb running that football, look out.
The Steelers passing game. Let's break this down. I'm adamant. You've heard me before saying the dunk and dink offense, these little short passes, It was winning you football games. But remember, Mike, this offensive receiving core was heralded in the first 4 games as being potentially the best in the league. The rookie Claypool, Juju, Deontay, the Blitnikoff Award winner.
Well,
but you can't dunk and dink your way to a Super Bowl because, as we talked about, Mike, once the NFL, up there in Buffalo, once they figured out it was a 2.3 second release, what started happening?
Well, the defense starts squatting a little bit, and as long as you're getting those completions, it's okay. Last week, I love the fact that Claypool got 11 targets. Now, he only walked away with 5 receptions, but he scores a couple times. Deontay Johnson only had 4 targets. Juju had 8 targets. I would like to see Deontay's numbers go up as far as targets. I'd like to see Claypool's stay around 11 plus, and then Juju sprinkle him about 3 or 4 times. But I would like to see them use that tight end a little bit more. And
Van Animal
was out. Van Animal came in a little bit. They gave him a couple shovel passes. I don't like that. Just get him down the field, run him a couple stick routes, a couple basic crosses. But again, utilizing the tight end comes typically with a lot of play action, and they're not doing the play action so much. So get the play action going, run the football, definitely get the ball to Claypool on some shallow crosses, on some slants, maybe take a shot here and there to keep the defense honest. Push a few
Ben's
downfield.
Arm have?
He has it. He just needs to throw it on time. If he holds it and decides to go deep late, that's when he becomes to get in trouble. But as long as he does it with time, if they give you man-to-man coverage and you want to take a shot with Claypool on the outside, here and there, you got the right matchup, you go ahead and do that. But too often, we saw Ben doing that on 3rd and short, 4th and short, and when you got 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, I get it, you're getting pressure and you're getting that man-to-man coverage, but sometimes, instead of just taking that shot, get the 1 yard and then take the shot on 1st or 2nd down, and that way you can come back and still get the 1st down if you don't get it.
You elevate your game in the playoffs. You elevate your game when you're playing for, I'd love to go to Tampa in February because it's going to be cold in Pittsburgh, but we could play it here in Pittsburgh and I'd still love it. You elevate your game. This offense, Mike, can it elevate its game? And it's got to start with the offensive line. I know they've been banged up, but you still have Pouncey, DeCastro, Villanueva, Okafor has come along, and again, Kevin the Bulldozer Dotson is unbelievable. I actually think he should have split Rookie of the Year with Claypool, in my own opinion, as an old offensive guard myself back in junior midget football or whatever it was. It's got to start with the offensive line elevating their game to a playoff mentality.
Offensive linemen don't win individual awards typically. It's more of a team award. So you're not going to get Rookie of the Year when you've got Claypool putting up the numbers. But
this is a town that appreciates offensive linemen.
But Claypool,
Steve Corson, Mike Webster,
kind of the spark that's kind of picked this offense up and kind of lifted it to the next level.
He lifts defensive linemen to the next level. I love the Bulldozer.
Do I expect Pittsburgh to change much? No, I really don't.
Mike, don't say that.
I would like to see them run the ball a little bit more and stick with the run, but you're going to see a game where if Cleveland falls down and they get away from the run, then Pittsburgh will kind of try and pound a little bit. But if Pittsburgh falls behind at all, it is going to be, throw 50 times a game. Well, and they might be able to get past Cleveland.
If you run 30 times, if you can get the snap count out to 80, I don't care.
Well, they ran 9 against the Colts and a mixture of 15 times against the Browns, and still threw the ball 45 times against the Browns with a bunch of backups in there as far as the backup quarterback and a few of the backup defensive players. But once Ben gets in there, if they're down, they're going to be throwing that football. And again, you can get by Cleveland by doing that. But there's a couple other teams. You get into a shootout, you're going to be in trouble.
Well, that'll be in our next segment about defense wins championships. I want to stay on this passing game and this Randy Fichtner offense. His head is on the chopping block in Pittsburgh. I think he's worse than Todd Haley, which is a big statement.
You said Todd Haley last week was bad.
I know.
But I think I convinced you now.
Yeah, I think you did. Fichtner does not know what he's doing. He has too many tools. This dunk and dink offense. And what proves it is, we heard that Ben took over the play calling against the Colts, and they exploded. The ball went down the field. if Ben Roethlisberger can take control of this offense, get Matt Canada, who's a good offensive mind, get the collective minds in there. Mike, let me ask you, you played at the pro level. You can put in they've had 2 weeks in essence to put in a new game plan.
Yeah,
you can do it in 2 weeks. You're not going
to change your identity going into the playoffs, so.
Not change your identity, but you can change your direction as opposed to 40 Dunkin' Dinks.
Yeah,
you can say, we want balance for 30 runs. I want at least 40 passes. Then we get creative.
Well, here's the thing. You have to push the ball down the field a little bit more. Now, if you're going to go empty 5 wide and they're going to keep 2 high safeties, it's tough to go deeper down the field because you're not sure if they're playing a 2-deep zone or a 22 coverage with man underneath, and it's much difficult to go downfield. Now, if you have single safety, maybe a pump fake down one side opens up that other side. You putting that ball up there takes the safeties out. But again, going empty, teams can keep that second safety back there. If you keep that extra car in the back now and you run the ball successfully, what that does is teams have to bring that safety into the box to stop the run now. And if you're not running it, then they can actually just defend the pass. So bringing that single safety down opens up those shot plays going down the field where the defense can't just sit there and squat and wait for those little short passes in and out. Now they have to be ready for the double move, the slant and go, the sluggo, the hitch and go, the lightning route. So you have to be able to run the football to be able to push it downfield a little bit more. It's a little bit of give and go. Will they do it? We'll see. You know,
they have to.
With it though.
It's not a matter. They have to. This Dunkin' Dink and no running game isn't going to get you to Super Bowl.
If you come out empty and the teams are going two deep safeties, they're not going to be able to put the ball down the field consistently unless they're playing a zone and you're hitting that middle shot. But I would expect teams to play a 22-man.
I agree with what you said. If you were a one-dimensional offense, and again, step back, the talent that is on this wide receiving core when they're catching balls starts with your 2 great tight ends. And I'm not saying great Hall of Famers. Who wouldn't want to have Van Animal? That shortens up your short game 5 to 10 yards. Ebron, if he starts catching the balls, is a pleasant surprise. Then you got the outs with Claypool, with Juju, with Deontay. This wide receiving core and listen up, Steelers Nation, your Hall of Fame quarterback who still has game can get you to the Super Bowl if Randy Fichtner and that offensive, change that offense. I can't say it enough. If they dunk and dink, they're not going anywhere.
Again,
they're going to Chauncey's. Is Chauncey still over at Station Square?
You can bring in 12 personnel, or some teams call it Tigers, 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, and 1 back. You can go in a shotgun out of that, and you keep those 2 tight ends. And Ebron's a fairly decent run blocker. McDonald is the run blocking tight end, but McDonald has good hands, and we've seen him run away from teams and stiff arm guys in the past. So you work those 2 guys in, and then you have you can have Deontay, and you can have Claypool, you can have Juju. You can run those same underneath.
Would you love to? If you were offensive coordinator, would you love to have all this talent?
But if you're going to play man and you want to bring that extra safety down the box because you're running the football, you can still run those rub routes with those tight ends. You don't need to do it with 5 receivers or spread them out empty. You can line up a little tighter formation and get those mismatches that way. Those pick plays, they love to run those pick plays, push up vertical, break underneath. Those tight ends can do it as well. So I would love to see them just change up the personnel. Maybe if you still want to run your same plays, change your personnel a little bit, give the threat of a run, and that's going to help the offense.
And the threat of a long game. So much to talk about with this offense, but it really, to me, Mike, comes down to this. Will they be the same old Steelers that played through this season with the dunk and dink offense that was putting up 15 points? I think they have all the potential in the world to go deep into the playoffs. I really do. And in the next segment, we're going to talk about defense, and defense wins championships.